It is Mastermind Monday, and so welcome for all of you. We are Grow Global. If you're wondering what that means, we are a bunch of real estate agents and brokerages from all across the country and sometimes even outside the country, looking to grow your business, grow your network so you can grow your life. We've got a great talk for you here today, but I want to share with you, first of all, a couple things that we have that are resources for you. We have a Facebook page. And on this Facebook page, you can join. Whoever invited you to this call, they can invite you. You can join. We have 312 members and still growing. We also have an Instagram page. You can follow that. And we're going to have all the links in the chat, just so you know, so you can click onto these. I just want you to see them. And of course, we record it. We record these masterminds. I can tell you, you'll get the most out of it, though, if you attend live. I would time block out noon Eastern, or if you're on the West Coast, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But show up and come to it live, because you're going to get a chance to question these experts and ask your questions. And I can guarantee if you have a question, somebody else also has the same question. And so with that, I want to introduce to you today who we're going to be speaking with. And this is Sam Griffin. Now, Sam is going to be talking to you today because in real estate, not every deal is created equal. We can agree with that, right? He's going to teach you how to learn to assess opportunities, maximize profitability, and avoid costly mistakes. So the great news about that is today, not only going to teach you how to make money, but how to keep your money. So you're going to get valuable insights on how to make smarter financial decisions and ensure every transaction is worth your time. With that, I'm going to hand the reins to Sam. Now, Sam's got some slides for us here. And if you have questions, you can ask them in the chat, but also hold them till the end so that we can ask Sam different questions you have. And again, don't be shy, because if you have a question, I guarantee somebody else has it too. So with that, Sam, take it away.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. And hey, guys, thanks again for joining this. Can't thank you enough for it. So today, what I wanted to talk to, and I think we talked about this about, I don't know, about a month ago, really kind of honing in on your profession. And one of the things that we talk about in commercial real estate and business brokering is your time value of money. And so today, what I want to kind of walk through and kind of some of the steps that we use, the principles that Stephanie and I use to help us value our time. And maybe there's some nuggets along the way that will help you with your time value of money. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Now, when I'm on this, if you have questions, feel free to jump in, chime in. Like Jim said, chat. That's fine too as well. Can everybody see my screen? I guess we're good. Good. Okay. Good deal. So I'm going to kind of get going through this process of it and kind of walk through time value of money, what it is, how it applies to real estate and realtors, agents in general, and how we can use this to actually make more money in what we're doing, but also not waste our time in what we're doing too as well. Okay. So start off with time value of money. Like I just said, maximizing your time, your profit, and impact in real estate. So what is time value of money, right? It's $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. That's how we do this and correlate that in investment, in business brokering, and in commercial real estate, in any kind of investment that we do. And the typical formula for time value money is simple. It's present value times your rate of return. And then obviously your time, your net time that you have invested will equal your future value of it. Okay. So when we do commercial real estate deals or business brokering deals, we look at this time value of money formula to help assess whether or not what it's going to be worth in the future and what it is the net present value of the opportunity. Now, so kind of an example of that is that when we talk about, $1 today is worth more tomorrow, right? So the money you have right now is worth more than the same amount of money in the future. So with that being said, one of the things that we're seeing right now is inflationary markets. So inflation right now makes money weaker, right? Over time, things get more expensive, inflation, so your money won't buy as much in the future. So, would you rather have $10 today or $10 in a year? So if you took $10 now and invest it and maybe have 11 in a year, if you wait, you only get the $10 that you waited for. So when we talk about time value money, we're talking about using your money today so you're not holding off, or using what you're doing today to value yourself in the future. So why should realtors care about time value money, right? So time equals this. It equals equity, your pipeline, and your profit. One thing that I've learned over the 20 years that I've been doing this, every hour wasted can delay a closing, okay? And, you ask yourself, what is your time worth per hour? So when we talk about, time, whenever you have a listing, if you don't get back to clients, if you take too long to respond to clients, that's delaying closings, right? Uh, when you prioritize certain things and things that you have control over. One thing I've noticed is that you can only control what you can control. But as a broker, as a realtor, can you control title? No. Can you control certain aspects of a deal flow? Some things are just out of your control. Okay. But the things that you can control, you don't want to procrastinate on. You want to get to them and don't waste time on, because every time can add an extra week or even an extra month to the deal. So then you ask yourself, what is your time worth, right? Here's an example that I pulled out. Like, there's agent A. If you work 30 hours and you make $10,000 in commission, that's $333 an hour that you're worth, right? But if you work 10 hours at agent B and you're making $10,000 commission, well, then you're at $1,000 an hour, right? So your efficiency is your leverage. Your time is your leverage. If there's one thing that we all have on this earth together, is we all have the exact same amount of time. Doesn't matter if you have $1 trillion or if you've got $3, we all get 24 hours in a day. So how you manage your time and how you do it is your efficiency and your leverage of what you do. As I've said a lot so far, is there any questions along the way? It's pretty straightforward. I can't see my chat, so I
Yeah,
apologize.
pretty clear. Awesome
Okay.
job. Good going.
So here's some time wasters that we've seen over the years that we've used that can cost you money. Okay. So, one of the big things that we see, especially right now, and we were just having a conversation before this even happened about sellers are, their expectations are here because they're still living in COVID money. You've got buyers down here now because interest rates are a lot higher. They can only afford so much. And so the thing of the realistic expectation of sellers today is, if a listing is not priced correctly, it's going to sit. It's going to take a long time to sell. And you have the option of sitting there and waiting it out with your seller if it's overpriced, or you have the option to really work through and bring that seller back down to where it's priced correctly. And it's priced correctly on the market. One of the adjectives that we use in commercial real estate and business brokering is that every time an interest rate goes up, if it goes up 1%, the business loses 10% in value. Okay. And so in our world, SBA rates are anywhere between 9 and 12%, depending on what they are. And so that's devalued a lot of the businesses that we try to sell, but also just in the real estate market. When rates go up, it's harder for them to get a loan, harder for them to get a deal. And sellers have a hard time with that because they believe, because of inflation, that it's worth more of it. So listing that are not priced correctly is such a big cost of time and of your money. Another thing too is that when you work with buyers, unqualified buyers, a lot of times young agents, and I've seen this happen so many times, you have a guy says, hey, I've got this, I've got that, I'm looking to buy this, and you move forward with it, okay? But have you qualified that buyer? Have you made sure the proof of funds, that they are legitimate, that they are doing, that they've got their letter, their pre-approval letter? One of the biggest things that we want to make sure, the two questions we always ask is, A, are you working with an agent, and are you pre-approved, and who's it with? And then when you get that pre-approval letter, guess what? I call the bank and make sure it's pre-approved. Okay. Again, I'm trying to not waste my time and waste my money, because every time that you spend doing something is a time that can cost you money. Another thing that can cost you money is cold lead chasing. Now, I'm all for the phone calls. I've done it my whole entire life, where we do emails, we do mailers, we do phone calls, we do it all. But you got to be strategic in when you're doing your cold lead outreach, right? Are you reaching out to the right folks? Are you reaching out to the people that you're trying to hone in on? Just calling people to be calling people that's a time killer, right? So especially when you're in this, and right now, especially as the market tightens, you're going to be doing a lot more phone calls, making a lot more outreach. And try to make sure that you're reaching out to the folks that's going to really benefit your time, and make sure you do it. I can get more out of 10 qualified cold call leads than I can reaching out to 40 people just on a different cold call, right? So it depends on, you got to look at your demographic, have a strategic approach on that, and then make those phone calls. Another thing I've seen over the years too is procrastination. I mean, procrastination kills, guys. It just truly does. If you don't stay on top of what you're doing, if you don't do the checklist, if you wait or say, well, I'll get to it tomorrow, or I've got this going on, or life gets in the way. Look, if this is your profession and you're doing this, don't procrastinate. Don't assume. Make sure you get on it. Another thing that we're seeing too that can cost you money and time is manual tasks. There's so many tools out there that we can take advantage of today that we don't take advantage of. And there's still people that do old school methods. There's people that do new school methods. There's so many things that we do manually today that we don't have to do. And I don't want to get into a whole entire tech program today. But if you're doing things still manually, there's a process of what you do. And it's not, if that process is saving you time and not costing you time, then it's obviously something worth doing. And then another thing that can really cost you money, and this is another one that really can get to folks, especially when we get into it. We've got somebody on our team that, when they're starting off, we got these smaller, low margin deals to give them experience on it. But as you get into what you're doing, just getting a deal for a low margin deal, you gotta rate your ROI on that deal. Just because it's a deal and if you're not making that much on it, is that worth your time? you know, and is it unreasonable? Okay. And one of the things that you try to evaluate that our team that we do is that, not every deal is a good deal. Okay. And is your time worth it? I mean, if you're only going to make a couple of $1,000s on a deal, I mean, could you be going out there getting something that's going to pay you a little bit more and you're going to go after that? So one of the things that you want to really identify is your hourly return on your investment. Your return on your investment right now is not just money, it's your time, the time that you spend on it. Okay. And so identifying these certain things, it can really help you with this. Another thing too, guys, this slide will be in the chat. You guys can have this and keep this if you want to use it as a checklist. Okay. As a good resource. One of the things that we have, and I'm moving on, is techniques that we use to win back time. And you've seen this over the years, and you've seen things, and I'm sure you guys have read books or not have read books. But one of the things that we use is that we have techniques that we want to win back our time so that we're not wasting our time. Schedule your day in advance. Every day you wake up, if you're scheduling your day the day you wake up, you're already behind. Okay. Always make sure, try to schedule your week in advance, time block yourself. Okay. And here's the thing that people don't do it, and I've seen it for years in realtors. The successful ones that make really good money in this business, they time block and they stick to it. They grit it out. They don't quit. They grind it. Okay. If you're going to schedule a time where you're going to do your cold call outreach and you're going to do it on Mondays and Wednesdays between, the best time to do cold calls, guys, just so you know, is between, I think, 9:30 and I think it was 8:30 and 9:30 and then 11 and 12. Okay. So if you're going to do that, you block it and you do it and you stick with it. Okay. If you're not doing it and you're not going to commit to doing it, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting your efforts on it. Stick with it. Some days are going to be good. Some days are going to be bad. You're going to get a lot of no's and a lot of, whatever. But the ones that stick with it and block it, do it, make it work. Also, the ones that schedule their day in advance the day before and they don't wake up and they just try to wing it, those are the ones have a higher success ratio. Those are the ones who are going to have a higher success of making money in real estate. It's a proven fact because I know this. My wife does it every single day and she does a great job in what she does. Okay. And I follow that. And it's very vital. Another thing too is that whenever you are doing outreach and things that they're doing, use scripts and systems to help you whenever you're doing your outreach. All right. Whenever you're trying to build your business, use scripts. One of the things that we use now is we use AI a lot. Okay. AI gives me guardrails in what I'm doing in my email communication and how I'm doing outreach. I actually have AI proofread everything I do just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And it also gives me suggestions as well whenever I use AI, which is Chat GPT, on certain things to help me navigate through on successes that have worked for other things. Okay. Another thing that we use is scorecards. So whenever we have meetings with potential folks, we just started doing this and we're really in the beginning stages of it, but we actually scorecard our clients. 1, are they ready to go? 5, are they thinking about it? Kind of in a kind of a block of where they are. 1 is ready, 5 is not ready. They're through 2 or 3 years away. Or is someone looking to sell their house today, or they need to wait a year? So you score them 1 to 5, right? And then you have scorecards for your clients and you rate those scorecards and you lay them out there and you try to make sure you get your scores, whether it's a 1 or 5, you can do it. There's no right or wrong way of doing this, guys. So 5 can be best, 1 can be the best. It doesn't matter, but it's something you do internally. So scoring your clients is a great way for you to see where they are in the level of importance. Okay. Because if you're wasting time chasing people that aren't ready right now, then guess what you're doing? You're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. But let's say you've got John over here, he's ready to go, and he's a number one. Hey, that's a priority. Let's make it a priority. Another thing too, guys, we just talked about it and we touched on it, was AI. But you know, we have done, I like to think that we try to stay on top of the tools that we use, and we really lean on those tools a lot to be successful in what we do. Uh, do we win all the time? No. Do we lose sometimes? Absolutely. It's part of what we do, but the wins are great. But one of the things that we've done, I think, really well is we've pivoted a lot and used the tools that are accessible to us, the CRMs that we use, like HubSpot, AI tools. Some folks like virtual assistants. That's a good way of doing it. I mean, we're very fortunate. We've got a couple of folks that work on our team. But, having those kind of tools and resources, guys, that's going to be a huge thing. And if you're not utilizing those resources, man, please do it now, because it's going to make it really streamlines what you're doing. And then one of the other things that we do, and we actually do this on Monday mornings, we do a weekly ROI review where we sit and we kind of huddle up for, let's say, 15 minutes to 30 minutes about what we did right, what we did wrong, what can we work on better, and kind of bring the week in review and what was our return on our investment, of time and of money of what we're doing, right? And so, one of the things that even our time of doing this, guys, we make mistakes every single day, but if you're not learning from the mistakes that you're doing and you're repeating the same mistakes over again, then you're going back to, wasting your time. And then the last thing I want to talk about in techniques to win back time is, so many realtors, and I'm guilty of it too, is that we're really good salespeople, right? And some of your best realtors and people I know are good at sales, but they're terrible at the details. They're terrible at the details. The ones that pay attention to details, have all the details in place, understand it thoroughly of what you're doing, okay, are the ones that are successful. And I'll go back to Stephanie on this. I've watched this woman in an open house talk to folks, and the details are so specific. It makes me want to buy them every single time, because she's got it down. The devil's in the details. When we sell a business, when we sell a commercial real estate, we go through every single scenario. It's in our details. And if I don't pay attention to details, I'll lose a deal. And it's happened to me more times than not. Okay. And I've learned the hard way on it. The devil is in the details in anything that you do. Okay. Because if you don't pay attention to details, you get nothing. Just remember that. Okay. So these are things that we use to win back time and techniques. Any questions so far, guys, on what I've gone over so far? I can't see the thing, but chat. Let's see. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So I kind of want to talk through example of your return on your investment of your listings. Okay. So we talk about pricing things right? So if it's priced right, okay, you could spend 15 hours on a deal. This is an example, all right, and make the same amount of commission as you would if you spent 45 hours on a deal. But then if you look at the hourly rate of what you're making per hour, okay, this is kind of what it can happen to. And this is something that we can get stuck on. This is a real life scenario here. Okay. If you've got it priced right, if your deal is priced right, you could spend literally quarter of the time on it and make the same amount of money as you would spend 45 hours if it's priced wrong. Okay. And so when we're out here doing these things, pricing it accordingly is so important, because you spend so much money on advertising, marketing it, time in getting it. And one of the things that we've learned over the years is that, you get one shot to make a first impression a lot of times on these deals. We just brought 3 things to market, and we're getting bombarded. It's first time to make an impression on it, right? And if we don't strike when the iron's hot, this thing could sit, it could go stale, and it can almost be stigmatized in some ways, okay? So when I hone in on about pricing your listings correctly, because it's time, value, money, there's true, especially in this volatile market that we're in right now, guys, okay? It's up and down in a lot of ways. There's still a lot of unknowns out there, but people are still buying and selling, especially real estate. But however, having that, doing your proper CMAs, doing your proper homework, and identifying to the seller of exactly where it's going to land, the most probable sell price of this is going to happen, and them understanding that if they really truly want to sell, this is where it's got to be. Those are serious conversations. And we see it so many times, and I'm guilty too, where I've listed something too high and the daggone thing is sat because I just want to get a listing out there. Okay. It's not about that. Okay. But one of the things I do want to mention is that, when you spend the right amount of time, if it's priced right, it will trade. Another thing too is this. Okay. And in our world, and I think in any kind of business transaction world, time kills deals. Okay. You get a contract on a home, you get a contract on an investment, you get a contract on a commercial real estate property. Time always kills deal. The longer it takes, the longer it's going to take to close. More things can arise on it. If you've got your ducks in a row, you got your details in order, and you get a contract on it, you know exactly where you need to go, how you need to get there, and you can get to the finish line on it. Okay. That is so vital. And I've learned that over the years that time will kill a deal if you allow it. So let's talk about, compounding time strategies in the long game, right? So, one of the things that, we recommend and we do is that you invest your time in your branding of you, who your business is, what you want to be, how you want to do it, have a clear path forward and how you want to be your branding on it. A lot of folks that get into real estate, it's a lot of marketing. I mean, we're marketers. We're marketing not only property, we're marketing our brand, we're marketing ourselves. Okay. And so when are you doing this branding and how are you marketing yourselves is vital in the kind of the process of what you're trying to do to conserve what you're trying to do as far as time and the money that you're spending. Another thing that's so vital too is that not just branding yourself and everything that you're doing, but the networking, right? I mean, folks that are involved in either a BNI network, church, communities, social media, clubs, chambers. I was having a conversation with another fellow colleague of mine out of Memphis just a few minutes ago, and he's a Mason. And he was like, look, I joined the Masons. He goes, I did it because I love it. I would love to be a part of that. And he's like, he's trying to get me to be a part of it. But it's not about just he's got some deals off of it, but being out there, being accessible, being seen by people is huge for your business. Sitting at home behind a computer all day long is not going to gain you business. It'll gain you some unless you're just paying for the leads and you're just answering those calls. But I'm just telling you, the low-hanging fruit is getting out there and meeting folks and connecting with people. Ever since COVID has ended, we're still seeing a hard time with folks connecting with people. Okay. And it's something's gone wonky after COVID, especially with buyers and what we do. It's like we could just tell the difference in what's going on. But here's what I know. I know that the people that are involved in their community and whether it's some type of activity are the ones that have deal flow coming. They have things happening. And it's a time value principle that if they do that, it actually is, it's kind of a fun thing too, as well. Right. And then another thing that I'm going to move on to is process creation and stick with it. I can't express it enough is that once you set your time or whatever it is you do, you got to stick with it. Good days and bad. I mean, look, I've had many bad days. I've had many great days. But one of the things that we do is we grind it. We stick with it. You got to stick with it. If you want to be successful in this business, the ones that do it, the ones that stick with it, you stick with the consistency, will make a good future for yourself. So really the compounding effect is this. It's exponential future value. These things right now is what's going to help you go from making, let's say, $100,000 a year to making $500,000 a year, making $30,000 a year to making $120,000 a year. These are the things that if you stick with it and it's worked in our lives and what we've done can really help you move your real estate career forward. So the thing I want to challenge you guys is this, this is your time audit, right? So I want you to track your time for 1 week, right? I want you to assign a dollar value to each task that you do. Okay. So now we're talking about auditing your time and kind of things that's happening. I want you to identify, sit down in 3 buckets, right? Small task, medium task, and big task. All right. Small task, equate that to $10 an hour. Okay. Delegate or something small that you can deal with. Do a medium task, $100 an hour. Can someone do this for me cheaper? Can I do it? Is it going to really move my needle? It might not. You know your deal flow. I don't. Okay. Then the other thing's a big task. The big tasks are the ones that pay you the $1,000 an hour, things that really equate to making money in what we do. Okay. Every day I put my big task first and I will literally throw my medium and small task aside for a big task. Okay. And some people have a hard time with these checklists and tasks, but what I'm telling you is that your big tasks are to do more of those. Focusing on the big tasks are the ones that's going to give you an ROI, a bigger ROI on what you're doing. Okay. And these are the principles that we do, and it's worked in some areas. Now, some days you'll fumble. Don't worry about it. It's part of it. But at the end of the day, identify what each task is worth and how much is it going to make for you in what you're doing in your daily lives. So the thing I tell folks is this, is that time value moves, right? You want to track it, you want to value it, and you want to move smarter. And when you do these certain things and the principles of just whether it's residential real estate, commercial real estate, or business brokering, you're going to start seeing the effects of it. And it takes a while to get in there, but the ones that stick with it, like I said, and do it and kind of track all this down and block their time and do it correctly are the ones that really make good money. A lot of folks on here make great money in real estate, but let's make more money in what you're doing. Some of the folks on here are just now starting and trying to make more money in it. Track it, value it, move smarter. You will start making more money over time. Okay. And do you guys have any questions? That's it.
Great job. Beautiful on that. I think, Sam, I think it's something that all entrepreneurs, not just agents, struggle with is time management and working on the right things. So many times I think we get busy doing the busy work, right? And we think we're working. And I think maybe we just do that to make ourselves feel good, pushing paper, answering junk email and things like that. Let's see if we have any questions. So the questions, guys, you can do it in the chat if you have a question. Tony Sutherland says, "Thank you, great presentation." Here's a good one. I like what Kim Campbell put. Sam, what's your day structured like? Let's if you're willing to share that, what's your day look like, a work day for you? I think that's a
So
great one.
yeah, usually on Monday or Tuesday, I kind of set up for the following week, as my calendar, but I move my calendar based on deal flow. Okay. We all have to be nimble on it. I think one of the things too, I kind of want to retract back to as well. And, I can assess this and, and when Stephanie first opened her brokerages, we'd have realtors that they'd have a closing. Okay. And they weren't proactive enough that they would just take a closing by closing. And they'd have a big closing where they'd make 10 grand and then they'd wait 4 or 5 months. They weren't proactive in blocking off their time to do what they do. So all I'm saying is that just because you have a closing coming up, that pipeline is huge for what you're doing, and investing into your calendar is perfect for what you do. So as far as my calendar goes, I schedule mine both weekly and daily. Okay. I even go out sometimes monthly, depending on if I have conferences and stuff that I'm doing. But the day before, at the end of my day, I look at what's coming up the next day beforehand and see what I can do to value it. I sit down with my team as well on the weekly. Like I told you, I do a weekly ROI event where we go through each week. We reassess of what we're doing, how we're doing, and what can we do to make it better for the following week. So my calendar, it fluctuates a lot the day before, and then also for the week for what I got coming up. Does that make sense, Kim? Okay. And look, here's the thing. Everybody's going to have their own system. Look, here's what I do know. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, as they say, right? Everybody has their own way of what they do in it. Set it up the way you feel comfortable with. But I'm just telling you, setting up your calendar and setting up your time and blocking off and prioritizing your time is vital in being successful in real estate. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's, if you're focused on rev share, if you focus on transactions, if you focus on anything that you do in your life, setting up your time schedule is so huge and vital, and sticking with it. I tell my teammates this. I said, whatever you do, just stick with it. If you're going to do this, be here at this time and do it, and stick with that time frame on it. I'm going to try to attach the slide in here for you guys as well.
Excellent.
That's a great question, Tony. When a seller is unrealistic with their price, how do you approach setting a realistic price? Tony, I present the facts. Okay. Here's what I know. Present the facts to the seller. If you did your CMA properly, if you showed them what the market's bringing, present facts. When you start spinning off and you start going into, well, if you don't sell it this is going to happen there, blah, 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 present facts. Okay. And when you do that, it's up to the seller to have that realistic point. But here's the thing, Tony, you got to know when to walk away, right? Because here's the thing, if you have a seller that's unrealistic and he thinks his home's worth $5 million and the damn thing's only worth $2 million, you're wasting your time and effort. Okay. And you know this, but I'm just saying, Whenever you do it, present facts. And that's something I've learned over the time, is that when I try to spin off and try to sell a deal, well, if you sit here too long, who knows what's going to happen in a year from now, or what's going to happen this. We always come back and resort to providing with the facts of what the market is bringing. And if you do your CMA correctly, if you come in with the proper data in front of them to let them know if the home, I'm sure you walked in the home, you know if the home needs repair, if it needs work, how the condition of the home, all the stuff are take factors into selling real estate that, that you just present the facts. Does that make sense? That's a great question, though. Thank you. I'm trying to attach this in here. Hey, Jim, do you know how to attach this into the chat for folks?
You know what is I think Julie is our Zoom expert to attach in there. Do you have it on a Google Drive, or what do you have it on, Sam?
It's a PDF. I could just
just send it to Julie. She'll get it up to everybody.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, Rob, can you do it? I'll send it to you. Would you mind sending it to Julie? I don't have Julie.
I'll send it to her right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Beautiful.
Kim, a brand new agent. How do you coach them to plan their schedule? Same with a seasoned agent. Yeah, that's a great question too. So those are two different really kind of vertical sets when it comes to real estate, right? So a lot of seasoned agents, they have a referral base that they work off of. A lot of times with seasoned agents, it's more about follow-up than it is about cold outreach, okay? Staying in touch with your existing clients, staying relative. It really comes back to staying relative if you're a seasoned agent. And there's a lot of seasoned agents on here, and you know that. If you're out of sight, you're out of mind, period. You know what I mean? You've got to be in front of your clients. If you're a brand new agent, guess what? You're trying to build your pipeline. You're trying to build it. So how do you do that? You time block cold outreach. You time block involvement. You time block community deals. You get social media posts. So many times I've been on these things where I've seen Stephanie and you guys do all these social media outreach, YouTube videos. There's things that make yourself irrelevant in what you're doing, but it's really, honestly, this is about how you manage your time during doing that. Again, you go back to what you want to do. Do what makes you feel comfortable, but also do things that are outside your box too as well that make you feel uncomfortable. You learn the most when you're the most uncomfortable doing it. Always happens, okay? So they are two different time blocks in each one. And most seasoned agents that do it, I've dealt with agents that have been doing this for 40, 50 years, right? They just have the way they do it, and they work with their thing. One of the things they teach you in CCIM is that you have really in life 3 to 5 clients that really do a lot of the most of the work for you, and that you bring you a lot of your business, and you nurture those 3 to 5 clients.
Hey, Sam, tell everybody what CCIM is.
It's a designation within commercial real estate. It's an investment membership that it is, but most people that are in commercial real estate go to try to achieve their CCIM designation. It's really more for commercial practitioners, investors, developers, lenders get their CCIM designation. So it's kind of a broad range of just basically the foundations of commercial real estate.
Beautiful, love it.
Yeah.
Ed says, I just retired from 25 years in the furniture industry, and I'm new to real estate sales. What is the single most important thing that I should do getting started?
Well, 25 years in the furniture industry, you probably, were you in sales, or what kind of position were you in? You can unmute yourself, Ed, if you want.
Let's say he was in sales, unless he gets a chance to unmute. Let's say
look, if he's in sales, he's got a Rolodex of folks, right? You have a lot of relationships you've built over 25 years. And I am pretty positive that of all the folks you've talked to over the past 25 years, someone might be wanting to sell, relocate, retire, downsize, do something, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. So I owned my own furniture stores for about 15 years, and I've been in retail sales for a total of 25 years. And I do have a lot of loyal customers, generations of families that have done business with me. So I'm definitely working on a campaign to market to some of those folks. But just getting started in the industry, I was wondering, other than marketing to my current consumer base, what do I need to do to work on building on that?
Right. So you're at a point right now. So you've got some advantages and some disadvantages right now, Ed. Okay. One of the advantages is that you've got an index of people that you can lean on to, that you can reach out to. Okay. Starting with that group, when you're doing a campaign, right? If you have a relationship with these folks, don't just send them an email, send them a letter in the mail, but have a phone call with them. Let them know what you're doing, right? Have that conversation. In the other bucket, you're starting a whole entire thing where you've got to brand yourself, right? So now you got to brand yourself out to the local community, a lot of folks that you know, things that we talked about, social media. I'm new to real estate. And here's what things that I would do too as well. One of the things you're going to realize is this, is that once you get a client or two, that will spin off other deals for you. I promise you that. You get a good referral, that stuff's going to come down the line. It just takes time to happen, Ed. You do a good job for Bob, you sell Bob a house, Bob's going to tell his friends. It just takes time, okay? But as you're doing your outreach, you've got two verticals that you need to attack. One is your existing client base, and the other one is folks that you've got to build a brand around, okay? And you can determine how you want to do that, right? Can you do YouTube videos, social media, do it all? You can do emails. Who do you want to go after? Is there a certain zip code? Can you do mailers in that zip code? Even some of the old school stuff still works, Ed. That's why they still do it. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff doesn't work, right? Like paper advertisements don't work. But reaching out to folks and time blocking yourself to commit to at least, if you're a brand new agent into it, I would commit, shoot, an hour to an hour and a half every day during the week to outreach to folks, okay? And finding who your target audience is and who you want to go after. Identify your zip code, identify your area of influence or where you want to be. All right. Get involved in those community things. I promise you it works. We have realtors here in Louisville, Kentucky. I swear to God, his name is David Younger. He's not even with EXP. Okay. But he is everywhere. He's all over the place. He's involved in the community, but he's been doing his business for years that way because he's involved and he knows his niche. So all I'm saying is that pick something, pick your lane, stick with it, and time block it out. Okay. But also, you've got two verticals that you can walk into, which is very fortunate because a lot of folks don't have what you have. They're starting off they're just trying to build a brand. But no, you've got two kind of verticals that you need to focus in on, and you need to block each one of those verticals. So maybe on Monday, you spend an hour or two reaching out to your folks that you made relationships with in the furniture store. And then maybe in the afternoon, you reach out to new folks. You find out people. How am I going to do that? Do I get a mailer out there? In the beginning, Ed, I would get in my car and I literally would put stuff in the mailbox for Stephanie. I remember that. We would do it all the time. You know what I mean? I'd go by and I'd put stuff in the mailbox, because I didn't want to pay the postage and stamping. And she was like, well, get out there and start sending them out there. And I'd put things in the mailbox, Sometimes just the basic things like that, you'll be surprised what works. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
We did a video just a couple of weeks ago called the reverse sales funnel. And it talked about all the different variables in a sale, getting to a sale. And the only variable you can control is conversations, the number of conversations you have. And so what happens is when you're newer, you have to have more conversations. And the more experience you get, you'll need less and less conversations to squeeze out a sale. So it'd be cool for you to check out, Ed, and take a look at that. You can set your goals basically and extrapolate how many conversations per day I need to have based on that. And it's on our YouTube channel. You'll want to check that out on there for sure. It was a really good one, but great stuff on that. Sam, who else got a question on here? Jonathan Plummer says consistency. Yep, consistency is on there. And then Stephanie Gilson wanted to know if you have a CRM, customer relationship manager. Ed's like, I didn't know I was going to have to talk on the video the whole time. So.
Yeah, I know.
No worries.
And honestly, yeah.
No, I don't have one. I don't have one just yet, but we're working on it.
Okay.
So Ed, I'll tell you
if you're gonna get one, Ed, get KV Core, and here's why. I took 6 brand new agents, new to market. They used one feature of KV Core. It's called Boost. You click on it, and what you do is you ask people in your brokerage if you can boost their listing, if you don't have any of your own. And when you click that one button and you boost it through your social media, you're in business. You will average about 8 leads a week. And I know 8 seems like a very small number, but if you can turn 2 of those into buyers for yourself, and that's 2 buyers a week, right? 4 weeks in a month. And that's how you become successful. You've got to have inventory. Inventory. If you don't have inventory, go get somebody else's. Ask somebody to borrow their inventory, and it's called KV Core. Okay? Sorry, I'll
Thank
shut up
you.
now.
No, it's
No,
good.
you
And
know,
some new
no,
builders will let you, do their spec homes, and you can run a property boost on there, especially if they're not on the MLS. Obviously, I'll give our disclaimer here as the host. We're all from different states, different brokerages, different MLSs and things like that. So check with your local rules and your state rules that you have with your broker. But in Ohio, where we're from, some builders don't put all of their spec inventory on the MLS. Well, you can find a spec that they'll let you take, and you can build its own little website inside KB Core that Stephanie's talking about, and you can boost that, and you can get a shit ton of leads. I don't know if that's the proper term to use, but you can get a shit ton of leads coming through because it's not on MLS, it's not on Zillow and things like that. And people are like, wait a minute, I've already seen everything on Zillow, Realtor.com, and you can get a ton of leads coming in off of that. So it's another way you can do it. Again, check with your state. We don't want to give anybody advice that they're not allowed to do in the state that they're from. Jonathan Plummer says that is the proper team. All right, good. I saw Kim Campbell cringe when I said that, but it's good to go on that. So great question, Ed. Beautiful. That was some good back and forth. Who else got a question here for Sam while we've got him? We know time is money with Sam, and he's sharing his time for free with us today. By the way, John Herhold says shit ton is an official unit of measurement. Okay, good. Well, in Ohio it is, so I didn't know if it counts elsewhere. So that's good. Great stuff on that. So how about some other questions that people might have? So Sam was telling us all about this time management, right? How do you manage your time? How do you do that? Who has a question? I saw Kim Campbell unmute. Kim, did you have a question?
Yeah, how does Sam, can you clarify some of the, let's say, misconception about time management, so you can clarify some of that? Because some people, like we all, including me, heard of time management. But what are some of the misconceptions about time management?
That's a great one.
I think, that's a good question. And again, this varies for each individual, right? So time management is in my world, right? It's prioritizing the time of what you figure is valuable. Okay. So prioritization, right? What's valuable to you? What's going to give you the highest rate of return on your time? And so whenever we schedule, here's what let me just back it up a little bit. Here's what I do now. Whenever I don't get myself and put myself into a kind of a base scenario where I'm grounded as far as my schedule goes, how my day is going to go, my day can spin off, and it can spin off relatively quick. And then if you're spinning off, you start stepping in shit. You know what I mean? And I think my wife had a great conversation with me last week. Step around the shit. Don't put yourself in the shit. And sometimes I'll get caught off of it because if I'm not kind of grounded in my schedule, I use that schedule and my time management to help me avoid that, so that I could stay. And when things come up, because look, in what we do, it's very fluid, right? Things happen. You get clients calling you here, buyers, sellers, third-party folks calling you, and things can move and manipulate. And then you're trying to work a deal. And it's our job, or I believe as a broker, to mediate these deals and bring these things, because what you're trying to accomplish is a win-win where it gets to the closing table and you close the deal. Okay. That's what it comes down to. That's how you do your basis. And so if you start each day the day before and you block your time, whenever those things come your way, you can manage those things appropriately. Okay. And so for me, time management is keeping myself kind of in a focused area so that when arrows start coming, I can handle them and move them and adjust accordingly based on it. Does that make sense, Cam?
I love that, Sam. I was at a conference in Nashville this week, and I heard a really interesting concept. And it said for everything you add to your to-do list, you also have to put something on the not to-do list, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have the same 24 hours. So how do high-level people like Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and people like that, how do they manage, dozens or hundreds of companies? They have the same amount of time that we have, and that's just that. They literally, if they're going to add something to their to-do list, they also add something to their not to-do list. They have to remove something. So I thought that was an interesting concept for all of us, because a lot of us just pile on the to-do list,
Yeah.
and it never gets done, ever. You're never going
It
to
is,
get
and you're right, Jim,
done.
and it turns into noise, right? You have a lot of noise out there, a lot of static, a lot of things that can get in your ear, right? And so it's important, and you're spot on with that. When you talk about, to-dos and not to-dos and things that can happen, and just don't fall into that trap, guys. I'm just telling you, as someone that's been doing this a while and full time into it, I mean, 6-7 days a week into it, that if you're not careful with your time management, you can spin off and you'll get a lot of noise in there, and then you realize that you're like stuck in something you shouldn't have got into because you didn't manage your time properly.
Hey, Jonathan Plummer, unmute. Tell us the Eisenhower matrix. Spit it out for us. Tell us drop some knowledge on us.
Oh man. Okay. So the Eisenhower matrix is just a 4-quadrant box that is important, not important. Top left quadrant is due, top right, and then not important, important, urgent, not urgent. Top left is due, top right is decide, bottom left is delegate, bottom right is delete. So you would just go through your tasks, put your to-do tasks here, decide on what to do or schedule your time here, delegate here, and if it ain't worth anything, you eliminate it, delete it, get it out, throw it away, and go from there. That's the high level version of it.
Jonathan, will you Google that up, like a thing on that, and stick the link in the chat for everybody so they can find that easy? Because I bet you've probably got it bookmarked or something, because that was an excellent explanation of that.
Yeah.
I
I
couldn't have
can
done that
do
off the
that.
top of my head. Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. Kim Campbell says, how do you suggest, this is going to go to Sam, how do you suggest handling unexpected interruptions or emergencies that disrupt your schedule?
Prioritizing, right? Prioritize. I mean, if you've got a lot of times it's our job as the brokers to calm the waters and make people folk just kind of realize what's going down, right? So you've got to prioritize, and things are going to happen. It's part of it, but you got to, it was funny. Like, this is just another story. My business partner, he said to me today, he says, look, when people ask you a question, if you're unsure about it, just wait 24 hours before you have to answer it. If you're just uncertain about it, and then you got to prioritize, like, really what's important at the time, right? If it's something that's you're working through that's going to affect the deal, because time kills deals, that needs to be a priority. Sometimes you got to pivot, guys. That's just part of it. You've got closings coming up, you've got deal flow happening, and you've got to pivot. That's part of the reality of life, right? But when emergencies come up, okay, and you sit to your schedule and you're grounded, I call myself grounded. You can handle those things if you have the appropriate things. This goes back to having devils in the details. If you know all the details of your deal and someone comes at you, you can answer those deals. Always present data, true facts if you can. Don't spin off and try to BS your way into something, okay? It doesn't work. I promise you, it doesn't work. People do it so many times. They try to BS their way into the deal, and you always get stuck into it. Present the facts, present the deal, and know your details. And that way, when emergencies happen, you're ready for that. Does that make sense, Kim?
I love that. And I've heard the saying before, their urgency is not my emergency.
That's
It.
it.
It's not always the case, but quite frequently, a lot of times somebody's coming in urgent because they didn't plan ahead of time. They didn't do something right. And now all of a sudden they expect it to be my emergency, and it's not. So very good with that. Sam, you're talking about the low dollar producing activities and things like that. Let's say you were saying $10 an hour. For everybody who's on here, we have a great video from just a couple of weeks ago where we talked about hiring a virtual assistant and the ability of taking those $10 an hour or even $20 an hour activities and getting them done for about $5 an hour. And it was great. People that can handle things that are not high dollar producing things for you that Sam was talking about on that list that he's provided. We're going to get in the link that you're going to be able to see. You can farm those things out to your virtual assistant who maybe like doing those things, and where $5 an hour to them is darn good money, where for you, it's wasting your time. So I love that, Sam. That's great on that. Let's see. We have some other messages coming in. Kim Campbell says she loves it. Oh, Jonathan Plummer, thank you. He posted the productivitypatrol.com Eisenhower matrix. You can see that if you click on it. It's really, really nice as far as that goes. Let's see what else we've got going on here. The time is money Google Drive. The slides we had for today are just dropped in the chat. So if you're in the chat, you can click that. If you're watching the recording of this, we'll drop it in the description on the YouTube so you can click that and get to it. But for those of you who want it right now, you can click that in the chat and that'll pop for you. For those of you who don't know it, you can download the chat also over. This is only on desktop, by the way, but there's 3 dots above the chat box, and it says more. If you hover over it, when you click that, you can save the chat. So those of you who need that, you can save the chat on, or you can just click it right now, and it'll be in there. Who else has a question here as we get ready to wind this thing up? Does anybody have a question they want to ask? Donnie Morrow, it was good to see you in Nashville the other day, brother. Good to see you, man. But we're going to wrap this thing up here as we get done. We'll give everybody a last minute for a question. But just a reminder, we've got a Facebook page. We got an Instagram page. We got a YouTube page. We record these things. We also have a website. On that website, we tell the different events we're going to be talking about. Do we know next week what our topic is for next week? Somebody on here smarter than me who knows, wants to unmute. Do we know it yet?
Not yet. We're still putting that together.
Okay, good. So we'll have it. It'll be on the website when it's on there. But on that website, the reason I was bringing up the website part is we take recommendations. Like, do you have a question? Maybe repricing listings and things like that. We talked about some things we're going to be talking about, but maybe you're an expert at something like Sam Griffin here, an excellent at teaching time management. Maybe there's something you're really good at and you'd like to teach the group. We'd love to hear from you. You can go on there and make a recommendation, and we can go from there. So any questions? If not, we're going to wrap this thing up and wind it down and let Sam get back to make time is money, get back at it, getting after it.
Thank you guys for joining this. I really appreciate it. I hope it helped somebody out. So
yeah, I think it helped me absolutely. And I thought it was awesome. And, you know, the stepping around the shit thing, Sam, works great when you live in Louisville because it was Kentucky Derby all weekend, right? So that really steps in there on that. It was interesting to see our CEO there at the Louisville, at the Kentucky Derby. That was great. So great teaching. Ed says great stuff. Kim Campbell says you're a great trainer. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording.